Give me the finger.
Wait.
Wow,
Before we start, I need to know.
Already started.
Chrissy, did you see the Ghostbusters?
Yes.
No. Hashtag Chrissy hasn't seen the movie. Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of really cool movies you haven't seen, Lemma, Champ, or Lucky Track Dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of low dollar endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just a tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
You're off the tip
This
list.
is Chris.
You're on the naughty
This is
tip
Chrissy.
list, Jeff.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for coming back and listening to a... Oh, man, I'm going to mispronounce this. Peruvian emergency phone number episode of our podcast?
You got it.
Yeah.
Is that like in Peru?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
Got it. All right. Peruvian. I'll have Lomo Soldado, please. It is episode 116. If you're not driving a car, feel free to check out the E1R bingo card, which we're going to update next week with Chrissy hasn't seen the movie.
Seriously, there's a couple of those we could easily add.
Chrissy, why don't you lead us off?
Siri, I must have said something like Siri, and Siri was trying to answer a question that I just didn't have. Anyway, what am I working on? So we had Chris's Christmas party on Friday. I have been working tirelessly on we have been working on finishing up Baby Stewart's room, which is coming any day now. Hi, Jen and Baby. We finally got most of it done on Sunday. Still a little bit more work to do. We hosted the fam for dinner all weekend, and I've been working a lot more travel back and forth from Newcastle, Delaware, moving appliances, and I've been in a week full of meetings. And tonight we're a little bit late because I was having a impromptu Christmas-ish team dinner, and Chris joined me, so we had a nice time. That's about it.
Cool.
Jeff, what are you working on?
Well, those of you who are not watching on the Skype can't see what everyone else has to envision, and it is showerless Jeff. And I am showerless Jeff.
We don't have smell-o-vision, which is nice.
Yeah, thank God. Because I have been taking care of an 11-year-old with a 101-degree fever all day.
Oh, feel better soon, Josh.
Yeah, he's feeling better, but he's still like, his head is like could fry eggs on. So I had
Have
the
you tried?
entire.
That'd be great.
No. So I had
He did warm up his potato soup on him though when he was sleeping.
Yes, potato soup jokes. I love that. So I was home all day and I did an entire mountain of laundry, but that's not what everyone came for. Everyone came to learn, is the trailer in the side yard yet? Because Jeff had another weekend of attempting to get the enclosed trailer in the side yard.
Well, unfortunately, you won't get the answer, but tune in next week.
No. I have to say that this week's edition of Will the Trailer Get in the Side Yard included moving the 1965 International Harvester pickup truck, which hasn't moved under its own power since the 90s.
I tried really hard.
I
got it a
replaced
coil
a whole bunch of
away.
parts.
It was a coil
We're really
away.
close. Really close. Well, I had to move it like... Basically, I had to like shuffle the trailer and the pickup truck like parking spot wise. So it hasn't moved from its parking spot in 5 years. So this operation was like hook the trailer, move the trailer, unhook the trailer, rehook the trailer. I had to like yank the truck, push it with the Titan, move the Titan to the other side, crank it with the come along.
Are you doing this by yourself?
Oh yes, of course.
Oh. Okay.
So like many hours later, I managed to get the truck, which by the way, pop up the tires and they still hold air.
Since the
Hell
70s,
yeah.
pretty much at this point, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Find out those brand and put them on everything.
Oh, there's
they have,
like...
No
they
kidding.
have tubes in them.
They do have tubes in them because I can see like holes through the actual tire itself. Mental, you have a question, or should I finish the operation before you get the question?
So you're moving all this by yourself. Don't you have a brother that owes you for like 17 tire repairs and
He was
14 oil changes?
Yeah, He was away. It was Saturday. So, but anyway, so I get everything all together. I rehook the Titan. I remove the center bollard. I am backing the trailer into the side yard, and I have like a metal sleeve that the post goes into, and it sticks up like 3 inches out of the ground. So Chris, do you know where the spare tire is on my trailer?
Yeah, right in the middle in the front.
So what part do you think would go under, right over that little post? The spare tire.
Yeah,
which is
right
like
in the middle.
1.5 inches from the ground. So I have to pull it all the way out again, cut the post closer to the dirt, and then try it again next weekend.
Like a bollard.
See, I would have just put
Foiled
a board.
again.
I would have put a board over the bollard, and so the trailer would have hit that and backed up over the bollard, and then it would have been fine.
Well, it was
Like
the
a
tires that were the problem. It was the tires that were the problem because the guy who put in the gravel didn't put enough gravel in.
Mm-hmm.
So like
the gravel, always the gravel guy. Yeah.
The trailer's like tranked sideways. It's like heeling sideways at like a 45-degree angle. Anyway.
And
I feel like that's an entire race theme right there. It's always the gravel guy.
It's always the gravel guy. I also cleaned all the soup out of the Mazda 3. So
oh, good.
that's
yay.
What did you?
I have a
actually
dollar
do,
that
though?
says you didn't. I have
I
a
did.
dollar that says there is residual soup.
No.
I could
I
find
went
soup in it.
down. I mean, sure, CSI could find soup, but I like
Oh, see it? No.
scrubbed out
We
the cup
will find that
holders
soup in
with
the
a
spur-
toothbrush. I like
No.
used rags to like poke in all the holes to get all the
Wow.
little. Yeah.
Who
So
are
is this,
you?
Is this
You
the
put all
cleanest
your
the car's ever
trash,
been?
all your fast food trash, back in the floorboard after you were done cleaning it.
Yes. No.
Oh,
'cause
you
the
didn't.
trash
He's
that got
in-
soup in it all went in the trash. So
Right, but the rest of the trash he leaves there. So
absolutely,
Oh no.
it's like an insulating layer.
that's
Does
how you
it
know how
smell
fast
bad?
you go around corners, because when everything
Does it?
moves, you can feel the shift. It makes you feel like you're going faster.
Does it smell
When you get hit
bad?
in the head with a cup, that means you
It's
braked
winter.
hard enough. No. Oh, that's purple drink.
Visible
Ew.
driving feedback. Well done.
Yeah.
It's actually moderately clean because of the spilled soup.
Good. It's good excuse. then.
There's definitely an inch of like sand and dirt on the floor, but the Wawa cups are all thrown out.
Yes, and
Good start. High five, Jeff. You did a good job.
Yeah.
The answer should be.
Why don't you tell us about all your clean cars?
well, the Mercedes is nice and clean because it's still in the garage. Since we washed it, it's still getting work done. One bank is done, which is the hard bank because it's the first one I've done. Now I'm going to the second bank. It's going to go much more quickly, which is nice. But everything's looking great. Car, all the head bolts went in nice. The lifters went in nice. It's a very clean inside of the motor, which is great. I got our oil analysis back in the NSX. They said it looks fantastic, and the oils at 5,000 miles looked like most of the oil samples they get back at 2,400 miles. So nice, clean, healthy motor. Like to see that.
Very Honda.
Yep. I did a lot of unnecessary crown molding work on Saturday, and then also did some setting up iRacing because we've got this old setup here, and like the desk I'm sitting at right now has the gaming computer and the steering wheel. Like I had to move the wheel out of the way to get this set up for tonight, and the stand is now here. It just arrived, so now I've got to weld on additional brackets to the seat mount for the racing stand to be able to mount the 300ZX seat because who knew the Chinese kids that made the racing stand did not design it for a Z32 300ZX seat. It's 1 inch too short. So the welder comes to the rescue for that. And we'll get that set up this weekend, which is nice. I've been playing with the Oculus and lightsabre dojo and stuff like that, so that's fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I'm a little
some
jealous.
cooking. Yeah, well, when
You
you're
should
here,
be.
you'll
We
try
are
it.
so much
Yeah.
fun.
You had him
like
at
it.
lightsaber.
Yeah.
Has Jen had a chance to play lightsaber duels yet?
Now,
My
she
sister?
she declined
Yeah.
the
She
opportunity.
can't
She's not
move.
feeling all that well right now, considering she's
No.
days
All right.
away from giving birth. Like
And
single
is
I
not
days.
figured
well
with it,
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
The chance to play lightsaber stuff, she would just squeeze it out so that
Oh,
she could
she's
be up
like-
and-
No. The
She's the emojis with X's over her eyes. She
the
will
lightsaber
agree
game
to
will
this
still be
tomorrow.
there later. But
I was going to say,
because
most
with-
pregnant women, when they get this close, are like ready to do jumping jacks. Like anything to get it out.
That.
Except
Yes.
she's in pain and sad and not moving.
All
So
right, well,
sorry, Jen.
feel better
At this point.
soon, Jen. We love you.
Yeah.
At this point, it's probably going to be about 2 years before Jen plays it because she's got other things that are going to keep her
That's
occupied.
true.
no, I'm sure she's gonna play soon.
She might be. I feel like once the kid's reasonably transportable, it's going to be here, sister. Take care of your take care
Come
of your
over.
nephew. I have sword play to do.
Have fun. She hasn't had fun in a while, so fun.
All right, Mental, what about you?
Why was it unnecessary crown molding?
Good
Well,
question.
I'll
would
tell
have
you
the same
later on.
question.
Fair
I'll tell you
enough.
over a drink.
It looks great now. That's all that matters.
The
Everybody
baby
that
is going to
wanted
be
it
super excited about that crown
is
molding.
happy about it. Hey, everybody's happy about it, so it's all good.
All right.
Something tells me there was some project creep.
And I also it
Fine.
does give me a delightful little tingle in the base of my belly every time you say Mercedes has come along nicely.
Come in.
I made the mistake of trying to get a shipping estimate through a publicized company, and now every single day I get 3 emails of people that say, I have a truck in the Burnsburg area right now. We can have this done for X amount of dollars. And I'm just like, I was just getting an estimate, guys. Y'all need to stop.
I just figured you would cannonball it back,
I am seriously looking at it, but I
Because,
can't find a weekend.
AMG Mercedes are the actual, apparently the preferred car
Right.
of cannonballers.
preferred vehicle.
Duh.
Of the last several
Cannonball.
cannonballs,
Well, if you do
that's
it
the
in
one.
February, it'll be much better than doing it in December.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So the big thing that I was working on, we're going to talk about soon enough. Primarily, my time leading up to that is we are relocating Halloween decorations. We got everything moved out of our big storage unit. Now we've got a Halloween decoration size storage unit. There's a lot of just year-end military nonsense that goes on at my job, and not just because it's military, but primarily related to our mission. So a lot of parties and graduations and ceremonies and exercises that go along with all that kind of stuff.
It's very mission important is part.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the last big effort ended today, and so now it's a whole lot of, oh my God, we finally made it. Let's drink. In fact, Saturday I've got to put on my military tux and go downtown to the Bally's Casino for one of those events. Because I drug the RV out this weekend, there's a growing list of things that I need to do in the RV. The Vintage Auto Racers Association have asked me to come teach at their Vera University the third week in January. So I'll be teaching the vintage guys down there doing that. I got a
What does that mean?
What are you
Sorry.
What are
teaching
you
them?
teaching them?
Yeah, what is that?
Like-
What is that?
it's
entail?
it's at the beginning of every year they have a racing school, and everyone here is an instructor, and we all know that they're always shorthanded of people that want to hop in the car with newbies. And I'm like, oh, I'll do it. And they're like, oh, yes, you will. We'd love to have you. Thank you.
So
In
it's
fact,
not
I'm
hopping in
hoping
the car with newbies. It's hopping in the car with newbies in ancient cars of dubious safety.
their safety is ruthless, and for the school, you're not required to have a vintage car. And we'll be doing it in one very special BMW E46.
Oh, excellent.
But I did get a sliver of junkyarding in. So during one of the lulls, I looked online at the local pick and pull, and they had a 1976 Toyota Hilux, and I got all excited. So I got down there 20 minutes before they closed on Monday, and the doors are gone, the fenders are gone, the seat is gone, a lot of the parts are gone. But you know what they had? A full and complete grill. So I have a new grill
Fuel
for the
filler tube, perhaps?
It's there. It's there, but I couldn't get it off before the guy came over and said we're closing. So Saturday,
Oh, that's the worst.
Ah.
it's on the list, man. It's on the list. So I'm going to be taking down there, grabbing some of that, the infamous pocket ball bolts that I hope they don't notice when I walk out. And
They
so
don't
I'll
care.
be doing that. But I did get a new grill for the Toyota, which is great because it cost me $60 as opposed to the $200 that they wanted for an eBay. Yeah. And there's some bad news on the VFR front. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the VFR, the battery, it just got no power to it. So I took it up to the local motorcycle shop that had done some work on it previously. They did find where one of the connectors that goes to the starter solenoid had burned out, blown out, melted through. Kind of. So there's some kind of short going on in there. And they said, but before we can go any further, you have to buy a new wiring harness. And that's $1,000.
Ouch.
Whoa.
Seriously?
So we will not be doing that.
Oh, that's so sad.
We will be looking for a pre-owned harness on eBay, which is so. And then I'm weak on electrical work. I don't like electrical work, but I've done this before with a motorcycle. I had to rebuild a harness on a BMW for exactly the same reason. It was absurdly overpriced. So I took it all off, laid it at my garage floor, and spent days just tracking every wire and where there was, something that was exposed, either taping it up or replacing that chunk of wire. So I'll be doing that. And then it might be the rectifier that caused the short. So the VFR is out of commission for a while.
That's sad for you.
Has anyone clicked on the link I put in the show notes?
I just did, and it's amazing.
I didn't
do it. Okay. So there are people on Facebook.
How did you get them to stop?
How
did
the
you
cowboy
make
hats on the pigeons in
How
Las
did you
Vegas.
But you put them in between your feet so you could stop them so you could put the hat on?
No, I don't care how he does it. I want to know what kind of glue.
Right?
It's a little cowboy hat on a dirty ass pigeon.
So for our listeners who haven't clicked the notes or aren't going to be able to yet, there's a New York Times article. Someone is putting cowboy hats on pigeons in Las Vegas. They're little hats on pigeons, and the pictures of them are
bright
hilarious.
red and pink.
Yeah.
And the thing is PETA is upset, but they brought in an avian expert, and he said whoever did this actually thought this through, because pigeons' heads are flat, so they're not conducive to hats, and the size of the hats, they do not interfere with their vision, with their flight, or their ability to eat. So someone actually wanted the pigeons to be fine, and he goes, "We're pretty sure they used a very special kind of avian glue that we use when we tag." So there's like a bird glue that eventually they'll fall off when they grow new feathers.
I gotta read the quote below the article, below the pictures in the article. It says, quote, "They look like happy pigeons to me," end quote, said Charles Walcott, a Cornell University ornithologist. Quote, "It's hard to know, of course, because they will not talk to us," end quote.
And that was the bird expert that they brought in to make sure that the pigeons weren't going to die.
Excuse me, Mr. Pigeon. You're wearing a hat. Are you sad about this?
No comment. I've got to wear this hat over here and impress these lady pigeons. Now leave me alone.
Do you think how many of them are?
They're asking everyone who sees them in Vegas to tweet. They're trying to track them. They don't know how many there are.
That's where I saw it. I saw it on the Instagrams with people going, "Yo, man, that's got a hat on."
Exactly.
Yo, man, the bird's got a hat.
And that, I feel like, is a lovely trade. Well, go ahead, Chrissy.
The police say it does not appear to be a police matter at this time.
We have that and stuff. I really care about pigeons that aren't happy with hats. So, we're going to go.
That's a good one. I like it.
Wrestle a crazy woman with a knife in a gift store. Well, that's our job.
Or somebody who has a really big cart full of junk parked in front of fireworks. I like that. Parked in front of a 7-Eleven.
Yeah. So that's a great transition into news and notes. And Jeff, you have a couple of interesting things.
Sure. I actually haven't read the second story, so if somebody wants to summarize that, I'll do that. But 2725, we talked about it last week, the breaking of the Cannonball record. Every single magazine and news article has been talking all about the good stuff. But I just wanted to share the moment for the other side of the argument. Bicycling, I don't know if it's an online magazine or a real magazine, has posted the contrary article, and I just wanted to read a little bit of this. Basically, they summarize that it happened. The title of the article is "The Cannonball Run Record is Everything That's Wrong with Car Culture." And it's a scathing article all about how horrible the people are who would do this. And I wanted to read just a few things on it. They say clinical research, or they say, this is a good part. The highest speed limit on any of the roads they traveled was 80 miles per hour, meaning they were at least 23 miles per hour over the limit on average. At one point on a rural road, they hit 193. They said, then they said this whole paragraph about clinical research on average braking reaction time, and if they hit a deer or a cyclist, they would kill them, and blah 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 blah, which actually would be bad. I'm not saying that's not
sure, but don't cycle on interstates. That's kind of
yeah, exactly. Here's the best. Here's the best part.
Yeah.
they do all this math about what braking times are, and then the next paragraph is, maybe the drivers don't know the exact math on all this, though I'm betting they have at least a good idea. But they absolutely do know that driving that fast puts anyone around them at a higher risk. And yet, they still did it for an unofficial record and largely meaningless record. It's stunningly selfish disregard for public safety. Yes, Mental.
So I did read that, and of course I read it as a gearhead. And the guy admits, he even says, yes, I'm mad. I'm going to say, though, for someone who wrote that piece angry, it's a very effectively researched article.
Oh, absolutely.
And the guy, and I think he was not just irritated that these guys did it. He's irritated that the only people that called out the danger on it was Road and Track. Yeah. Everybody else, like all these established non-automotive news outlets, were like, and so he's annoyed that not only they did it, but they're celebrating it. And we hinted at this last week, but I got to kind of agree with him. An average speed of 103, that does put not just bicyclists, but a lot of people in danger.
I definitely will say, is it a meaningless record? I thought that was the interesting part that they were saying, that it
and that just
it
comes
was
down,
always meaningless.
Are you Sheriff Buford T. Justice, or are you Smokey and the Snowman? Because depending on your perspective, why are we doing this? Because it ain't never been done, son.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Everyone has their priorities. Everyone has their things that they think are great. Yep.
So, Chris, you want to talk about the Tesla story there? So I actually just started reading it now.
A Tesla on autopilot rear-ended a parked police car in Connecticut. It was a state trooper car renewing safety concerns. So essentially what happened is there was a car broken down.
You have reached your destination.
Yeah, there was a car broken down in the road. Connecticut State Police tourists stopped behind it, all lights on, flares out to get traffic around the broken car, right? So here comes Mr. Johnny Smug in his Tesla.
Autopilot.
On autopilot.
That's right.
Tending to his dog.
That's the best part.
Tending to his dog in the back seat. And the Tesla just plows into the state cop. Yep.
Hopefully the state trooper was okay.
I hope so. I think he's probably all right. But what is idiot? Your dog is fine.
Seriously.
I just like Tesla news.
And I drive with my dogs all the time. They don't want me tending to them. They're like, stop touching me. I'm sticking my head out the window. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So, but then the people you see with their little dog standing on the driver's seat in front of them, anytime you crash into anything, what do you think's going to happen when that airbag goes off?
Going to die.
Yeah, right.
Projectile.
I just wanted to know where the comma in the sentence was, because that makes a big difference. Was he tending to his dog, which was in the back seat, or was he in the back seat tending to his dog?
I think he was tending to his dog, which was in the back seat. Yes, I don't think he was in the back seat with the dog.
He could be. I mean, he's an autopilot car.
I'm with Chrissy.
Yeah, but the car still requires you to touch the wheel every once in a while. So, like,
you reach up, you swat at it. Hey, little Fido, you doing okay, little buddy? Let me touch the steering wheel. Okay.
It'd be pretty impressive if the guy then climbed into the back seat, sat there with the dog, and then occasionally reached up and touched the wheel.
Isn't that what autopilot
That's dedication.
Well,
yes.
I mean, there's been people who've been asleep, and the car continues to run.
Sleep.
Yeah,
or
like the guy who was so drunk he passed out, and the car kept driving him home until it couldn't.
Autopilot.
Right?
It's not. You don't have to drive it. Sit in the back seat with your dog.
The Tesla interruption technique, which I still think we should trademark.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Was that on the porn video or was that on the sleep video? I can't remember.
All right.
And Tesla.
Let's talk about racing things.
Go ahead. Talk about racing things. Get us out of
this.
this.
So this is I'm actually, Chrissy found this and I'm really excited about it. So,
did you know about it?
No, not at all. So this is great.
Wow. Metro went 2 octaves up there.
I know, right? No. And I'll tell you why in just a second after I read the news. So they have submitted plans for a new permanent road course in Arizona, and it is going to be a Motorsports Country Club business model. But Arizona International Raceway at Atessa is going to initially feature a 16-turn, 2.6-mile track built to FIA and FIM standards with multiple configurations and significant elevation changes. Ultimately, they want to expand to a 4.5-mile circuit. This is about 45 minutes southeast of Wild Horse Pass, which is only about 4 hours from me. So this track is well within driving distance. It's going to have ultimately 3 different circuits, all of them able to use at the same time, each capable of being raced in both directions. So I would imagine I'm going to see a lot more events because Wild Horse Pass is a great facility. They've got a really good drag strip and they've got a really good training facility for some of their work, but their actual road course, the original one that Nigel Mansell tested on, is awful. The pavement is really bad. The runoffs are there. So I'm really happy that I've got a world quality road course within a day's drive of me. It's going to be fantastic. And the link for that is in our show notes.
Woohoo! I think I saw some comments. This was actually on the Lemons Facebook page, and there was a couple of comments that no surprise. Shout out to Bill Fisher, who had already spoken to or heard from the owner and said that while this is going to be, I think for the first at least a couple months, if not year, it's going to be more of the payment only, the people that are paying for it only, membership only kind of thing.
Yes.
But eventually I think it should have most of the things that Lemons is looking for. So hopefully they'll be there eventually.
They just need a
Not
big
just
enough
Lemons,
paddock.
but NASA, Porsche Club, both of which are very active in Arizona, but they only have 2 facilities.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like Chuckwala's out in the middle of the desert between Arizona and California, like right on the border. But they had, when we were there a couple of years ago, their paddock was tiny, their bathrooms were tiny, and only run by one single Yamaha generator. Like things like that made it so that
think it's
it
better
wasn't
than
quite
that now,
right
but-
for us. But anyway, Jeff.
I just want to say, I think everybody's business plan when they open the country club racetrack is, it's going to be members only. And
sure.
Every membership is $1 gazillion. And then like 3 people join and they're like, we need more money than that. So we're going to have to open this weekend and this weekend and this weekend.
The only place that's worked, I
obviously,
think, is Monticello. So.
Yeah. Obviously, I wish them success, but not so much success that it keeps the doors closed.
Totally. Yep. I just was saying
success.
what I know.
Yeah, moderate success.
Hearsay.
Atlanta Motorsports started out that way, and I remember when they first got it going on, it wasn't even a paved paddock, it was a gravel paddock, but it was a good course, and it was initially supposed to be members only, but what they've found is that having it open to other organizations brings in membership. And the owner that took a scathing critique from a lot of folks who went up there and tested the facility because they said the support wasn't up to snuff. And Atlanta Motorsports Park now is a world-class facility. It's great. I'm still going to get you guys there one of these days for a champ car. It's going to be fantastic.
All right.
Okay. Done with news notes?
Yep. Upcoming races.
Lemons is Atlanta. Our favorite guest, Mr. Rude, said there's going to be a lot of good entries with a lot of people coming from all over the place, Midwest, Texas, and the Northeast. We have 125 entries, 3 Porsches, 8 Hondas, and 20 BMWs.
Boring.
Seriously, 20. That's so many. Okay, so I only picked out the
on
fun
the good
entries.
side, there are 105 non-BMWs.
Well
That
played.
is glass half full.
No.
That is
That's
right.
that's
There's a
I got a
glass.
glass. That's pretty great.
All right, so I found some fun entries. There's a Kia Monte, and a Kia Sophia, a Fairlane, a LeBaron, a Talon. What the thing has listed, the spreadsheet has said a Jag. I just love when the entry says funny things, so that's what makes me think this is funny. But they wrote this Jag.
8 in that J, 8 A's, and a G.
An XJ6.
Well, honey, if you get a Jag, then anyone asks what you have, it's a Jag.
Right. And so there's one of those, a Geostorm, I have to read this verbatim, a 1989 BMW Ford, that's a whole word, 1 year only, 328 I-95 Bond Edition Cabriolet with Ford 302 Camaro grill and hood scoop. 1. That's the whole car.
That is awesome.
I just like I think they're funny when they do this. 1 entry for the 3 p.m. Florida Man has 2 entries. And
no, he does not.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Please correct me.
there is another team that is claiming the mantle of Florida Man Racing, and Donnie.
I did see this. I apologize, Florida
So
Man.
Donnie has challenged them to a shirtless gator wrestling.
Florida off.
Florida off.
Florida off.
Who is the most Florida of Florida men?
Shoot, I'm sorry about that. I did see them. I thought there was a Fail Inc. I thought there were 2 entries for Fail Inc. One of them may have been a associate or something. I apologize.
Well, it could be, but there are 2 completely different teams that are claiming the.
I do
We look
recall
forward
that.
to crappy vertical cell phone video of the shirtless gator off later. Yep.
Yes.
Good.
All right, and so Sorry for Party will be bringing their Porsche, so hopefully it runs this time.
I think it's just Matt and Dean. They decided we're not going to bring anyone else because that car blows up every time.
I honestly think they have 5 laps or so. I think
Something
maybe
stupid.
for two races, I believe.
Yeah.
So anyway, monsoon. I did look up the weather. Monsoon. Full swing on Friday. Super rain all day Friday. But Saturday, Sunday look pretty clear. Have a great time, guys. I can't wait to see you all on Race Monitor and have a good time racing.
And we'll be jealous if you get good dry laps at Road Atlanta because we've never really had it.
Seriously.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Now,
Hold on,
Darren,
before you get into this, Chrissy, do you know who the guest judge is going to be at this race?
I do, and I've already reached out to Eric Rude and asked him to ask her to be on our show.
Which he said twice. I've actually been emailing her this week. She's always busy on the nights we record, but we're going to try and have her on the show very soon.
Done.
So
I was
Sarah
gonna say-
Montgomery, MX5 Cup winner and 25 Hours of Thunderhill competitor.
And Lemon's judge now. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say that Darren is the 3-pedal mafia stronghold in the SLK.
Yes, he
This
is.
is
Extremely.
was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago that this very car in like whatever the last turn in, what's the last turn?
2 years ago, I turned 13.
2 years ago, turn 13, went backwards right into the wall, right?
Oh, it hit everything with the lottery that weekend. Remember,
That's
we
true.
hooked it to
Oh,
2
yeah.
Suburbans and we're pulling it. That was good.
It's gone through a lot more tire since then. So Darren, keep the shiny side up. You know what it means. We wish you well.
Absolutely.
Sonoma, who's got Sonoma news?
I've got Sonoma news. Sonoma just finished up Sonoma, and Eric gave us some good stuff. Org Choice winner was a 944 run by a team who build autonomous tractor trailers, but instead they decided to put some kind of jank-ass carb setup on their otherwise stock 944. So, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep.
IOE went to a bone stock Chevy Aveo. Daewoo's finest. Done up like the shuttlecraft from one of the Enterprises in Star Trek. Photo that's up on Lemon's IG or on Facebook, we think. I Got Screwed was the Laser Goat F-150, which apparently blew up on lap 7 the first time they had it at Sonoma 2 years ago. This is their first race back, and it was running like a train until one of the drivers accidentally bumped the turn signal, which apparently killed all electrical power in a way they never figured out how to fix. Screwed.
That's so sad.
Yeah, Cerveza won. It was their 15th win in Lemons. That is amazing.
So crazy.
Well done.
And that's in
Cerveza.
the heavy competitive California area, which is there are so many teams that are capable. Anton, holy crap. His Volvo 544 1B and was within top 10. It's a 50s Volvo, people, with a Chevy 60-degree V6. None of these things scream success, except
Did you
Anton.
see his meme with Smudge the cat?
No.
No.
It's him holding the trophy and Smudge the cat going, "Suck it, gingers."
So this gives Anton's Volvo IOE, C win, and B win.
That's so
and
crazy.
they are within striking distance of an overall win, which would make him the third team to win the quadrangle of immaculance, because both Knox Vegas Low Bars and Lemonade have won the other two, both in various 6-cylinder swap Geo Metros. That's apparently the key for that.
We totally talked about doing that.
And he has
Yes.
a 6-cylinder swapped Volvo 144?
544. This is a 50s Volvo. Yeah, I thought the key to do
I know what
this,
it looks like. I just don't know Volvo numbers.
the key to do this, I thought, would be a TVR Tasman, because it's so awful they would have let you put it in C and you wouldn't have an IOE. But then over time, once you take all the TVR, all the drivetrain out, then you actually could have something decent. But I have yet to find an appropriately lemony TVR Tasman anywhere near us. Oh, well.
And to also
I
search
think they
for
came
I-80.
from factory appropriately lemony, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
All TVRs.
Yeah. Pony Keg 1C, which Larry thinks is really great, said they've literally been racing that shitty Cutlass Supreme for 6.5 years and never been anywhere close to winning C. Great to see them win. They've always got a great attitude, and the fur on that thing is so nasty and matted. Yep. That's Levin's right there.
That is terrible.
How about some listener feedback?
Listener feedback time. So last week on this very podcast, I took a shot. This podcast. I took a shot at a profession that has way more education than I do. And I made some sort of offhanded comment. I don't even remember what I said about engineers. And Mental, briefly said something like, Chris Egan is at his keyboard as we speak. Chris Egan, I apologize. All engineers around the world, I do not apologize. Chris Egan is one of the best out there because he actually builds crap. But there was a lengthy post by Chris Egan. It was great, where he talked about what the difference is between an engineer who's never actually touched a tool and an engineer who has. And it became an incredible argument between several of the. We are surrounded by engineers in the three-pedal mafia.
Who know there's that many people that need to drive trains? I don't know. I don't
really.
So many trains.
Right.
I don't get it. They're not even wearing the hat.
Right. Sorry, guys.
Next stop, Pottersfield. Next stop.
No. My favorite part of the discussion was when professional wrench, we'll call him that, Wartburger eating, wonderful
the
man.
Wart burglar.
Yeah, Aaron the Wartburglar, who is a professional wrench, basically said, Jeff's right. The engineers are always the problem. And then Eric, the Porsche whisperer, jumped in because who knew he was an engineer? And
Everyone
then he
talked to him.
Exactly.
There's so many kinds of engineers.
Exactly.
You got different kinds of trains. You got the kiddie trains. You got the big trains. You got the trains that go up mountains.
Subway.
Yeah, exactly.
Wants to go around Six Flags.
Right. I just want to say that we have all come to the conclusion that, sometimes it's the mechanic's fault. Sometimes it's the engineer's fault. But it is always the accountant's fault. Because they get in the way of good design and good repairs all the time. So we'll sign the peace treaty and say that engineers are only half the problem.
So do
and
we
keep
know
moving
any accountants who are right now hacking away at their keyboard?
No.
Dear ass faces.
No, they don't listen to.
Why
Racing
you
Podcast,
ruin
right?
classic?
Well, they don't listen to our show either, so it's fine too.
So that was a hysterical discussion. Now
It's all over our Facebook, by the way. If anyone wants to go read the entire thing and comment, please go there and say whether you hate or love engineers.
Yes, and your favorite kind of train. So, now, over the weekend, I was actually posting a lot of Insta stories and Instagrams, and I'd like to point out that what was once known as Insta What, I'm getting feedback from, hey, now that one's working pretty well, but we really need a little bit more interaction, and can we get some movies going on that one because it's not really involving all of our
Chrissy is hiding right now.
Someone went to a class at SEMA.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Now she's all Insta what's up. And what's funny is I was there with Sam Smith. And if you're not following Sam Smith on Instagram, he's quite good at it. And I was giving him, I'm like, I'm getting feedback from our new social media. And he's like, oh, yeah, she's right. You got to do all of this. But across the board, just a ton of supportive comments, go fast, don't die, shiny side up, all that kind of stuff. I genuinely appreciate all of them. It was great. Now, the Instagram user Guardrail Adventurous, who tagged us in their new engine swap for the Monte Carlo that identifies as a Supra, had a really nice snarky comment
That's
about
awesome.
Yeah, about BMW cooling systems being consumable, and that was echoed by Brad B. and the crew over at Radwood Official. And yes, normally they are consumable. We just accelerated the consuming of that by taking a BMW race car off-roading. But so not a lot of, I guess I don't want to say insightful, not a lot of discussion about engineers on our Instagram, but a lot of folks giving us likes and thank yous and good lucks. And I read them all. And especially at 3:00 in the morning when I'm bleary eyed staring at a broken car, it really helped. Thank you.
Awesome.
You know who's never
Awesome.
bleary eyed staring at a broken car at 3 a.m.?
I hope so. I hope not. I mean,
No.
ever.
Because if that was the case, I'd be in trouble. That's Chrissy's mom.
It's true.
Yep.
Yes.
Truth.
That's a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Bleary-eyed broken car is your job.
yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
Pretty much.
And hey to Jen.
Hey,
Good.
Jen.
Yay.
Feel better, Jen.
She's about to
No,
pop.
squeeze
Feels
that
better when
puppy
she's-
out. Let's get
Yep.
it done.
Right when she's not carrying around
Go
a
for a
small
run.
child.
Spicy food.
Look,
Eggplant parm.
There you go.
no one on this podcast has had another human being growing inside them. So I
Nope.
give all props in the world to every pregnant woman on the planet because I have witnessed it secondhand, because obviously not firsthand. And whew. Yeah, no, I don't want to be any part of that. I am
Nope.
so glad that I was born with an X and a Y chromosome, and
And not to compare the suffering, the level of suffering, but I would also argue that Mr. Jen is probably just in trouble for existing right now, and he's having to suffer a little bit. So,
He's okay. We're all
We
good.
keep
We're all
inviting him
gonna
down
make-
to the house, and sometimes he takes us up on it. And it's like, oh, Len,
We're
I
all
really
gonna
need
make
you to
it
bring
through.
me that thing.
Beer is here.
yes. He just comes down here. He goes, I love her. I love her. I just wish she didn't hate me so much.
Oh no, she's just sad. We can do it! Yay!
Yay. All right.
Next up, main topic time.
that's very
Main
nice.
topic time.
Now, see, Jeff,
It
the
is
problem is
time
there.
for the main topic.
You can actually understand what you're saying. Usually
yeah,
it's
let me-
you know, bus leaving on platform 9.
Now in their car is their
by the way,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
the bullhorn that I played Jay Jr. with at our very first race.
Wow.
Main topic time. Mental already alluded to it. He was at the 25 Hours of Thunderhill. That is a NASA race. Not the people who go into the moon, but the people who go all the way around the clock +1. So while we tried to keep up with him on the social media streams, but Chrissy was upset that he wasn't posting enough interactive and boomerangs or whatever.
I did
Um,
not say boomerangs. That's your jam.
I
I do not like boomerangs.
Oh.
didn't know what a
But-
boomerang
Why
was.
wasn't-
until Mental
Why
showed
wasn't
me.
anyone taking a boomerang when the car went off the track? That would have been a perfect
know.
boomerang.
Oh,
So we're going to try and find out what really happens when you race around the clock. I feel like that should be like spelled with a W, or like racing around the. I don't know.
Around
So yeah, so let's talk about racing like 24 hours, like the title actually tells us. Do we want to
Or
start talking about
25,
Thunderhill?
you know.
Well, I know
I
it's 25,
I
but-
want to hear about the track. Tell me about
Okay.
Thunderhill because
so
I
let's
just quick and dirty. I don't know anything about it. I've never been there. Popular track. Tell me about it.
Which version of it, etc.
We did one of the 3 mile configurations. We were using all of it, but we weren't using the entire track because it's configurable up to 5 miles.
Yeah, that's the full Thunderschleif.
That it's a really great facility. It is unimaginably picturesque. It's set deep in the rolling hills of California agricultural country. Lots of elevation changes, really well maintained, and because it is such a popular track, the track staff they are operating on a professional level. They are operating on a big name track across the board. Everything was really, really top notch. Like the same kind of stuff when we go to like the good NASCAR tracks or
like Barber.
it is. I would put their staff and their interior facilities, with the exception of the showers, on par with Barber. Chris?
Was David Vodden pimping the pro shop the whole time? Like he does at Lemons races, he comes to the PA and says, and don't forget at the Thunderhill Pro Shop.
You know what? I should have mentioned that, but yes, literally there was not a time he did not get on the PA that he didn't mention the pro shop. In fact, he was, to all the Daytona prototype teams, if you stop by the pro shop and get your Thunderhill sweatshirt when you arrive at Daytona, they'll ask you where the hell this place is. So go ahead and swing by and get your official Thunderhill gear at the pro shop. Yeah. And it wasn't something I was listening for, but you're absolutely right. That is hysterical.
We've heard it in Lemon's lore the whole time. Now, is this the track that has the sheep that graze across it?
That's Sonoma.
Oh, that's Sonoma. Thank you.
Yes. This one, it's you're surrounded by a lot of orchards and green hills and sort
Got
of
it.
thing. Beautiful
Got it. And tell us a bit about the team. It was not your normal friends. They brought you in as kind of a endurance guy because some of them have never endurance raced.
They must be desperate if they brought mental in as their runner.
Hell, Nikes. Ain't kidding.
So you're absolutely true. The only endurance veterans on the team were me and Sam Smith, and Sam and I had run American Endurance Racing together. And we talked about it last week. We're what you're working on is these are a really unique group of social people, and I think they understand what amateur racing is supposed to be about at its core. It's the campfire that you bring good friends around. So not everyone, some of the quote unquote real racer trademarks would be like, no, why aren't we winning? We must go faster. And everyone else is like, man, this is just a great time. So it was believed that I would be a good social fit. And the fact that they're inviting me back to the Vera University is yes. So everyone else there had never done endurance racing. And even Sam's never done a 24. The other three drivers, a guy named Mark Francis, and he's the team principal, MF Racing. A guy named John Wilkins, who's one of his competitors in Vera.
I saw MF and had a different interpretation
no,
the entire weekend.
It's on purpose. Don't think for a second that Mark doesn't know. And one of his competitors, actually two of his competitors, a guy named John Wilkins and Troy Ermish, who both race Datsuns. They're all vintage racers out of California. And Troy was actually a former ARCA racer professionally. Like that was his only means of income, and now he's got a prep and a part shop for a lot of vintage Datsuns, and very talented drivers across the board. But they were a bit intimidated at the idea of going around the clock twice plus an hour.
Awesome. Did they learn about endurance racing, or were they the whole time racing like sprint racers? Did they?
Some of the guys came out of the gate and were really just trying to set the world on fire, and we managed to talk all of them off the ledge when we were doing practice. Dude, cars got to last a full day, and I don't know if you completely understand.
So do the brakes and the tires, which I know you had trouble with. So
right. And we really came unsupplied with tires just of that, but they were all
came to the rescue there.
Yeah, they were all very open to the concept of endurance racing. So when I got to the shop Tuesday afternoon, by default, I'm the expert on enduros. So,
you are. They're not wrong.
Yeah.
So well, and then just taking all the lessons that we've learned the hard way over the years, especially, and I think is Jeff, have you ever done a true 24?
No,
I'm just you and
Chrissy
me.
and I.
Chris, you have, yeah. Okay. So, they immediately started modifying their eating and their sleeping schedules to make sure that this was all going to play out, their caffeine intake and their hydration. We ended up giving, he took the role of team captain, and we'll make jokes about that here in a second. Took on the role of team captain. He was an experienced long distance yacht racer where they would do yacht races that went 2 to 3 days. And he, right at the driver's meeting, said, guys, if you're not peeing clear, you're not drinking enough water. And one of the things an early sign of hydration is people start having a bad attitude. So every time somebody had a snarky comment, we'd be like, hey man, you need a bottle of water.
Oh, I like that.
Another team came over so that was our FU was, hey man, I think you need a bottle of water. But everyone really got on top of that. And one of the drivers just going into it, he's like, guys, if there's going to be weather at night, I just can't do it. I can't see it. I don't know what I'm doing. And we were able to adjust the driver's lineup right on the fly. And then everyone brought their different experiences into it. And so I brought in, the Three Pedal Mafia operates on, there's always the team captain, and they have the supreme say, but they are not operational. You have the pit mom and the pit dad. Pit mom is in charge of everything that is not race car. Pit dad is in charge of everything that is race car. Well, they didn't like those titles, but they loved those delineating roles. So the yacht commander decided
They are
that
a bit
he would
gendered title. I mean, you know.
Well, he decided
Just
he
gotta throw that out there.
He didn't want to be the team captain. He wanted to be the team commodore. So he was the team commodore, and the pit dad didn't like pit dad, so he became pit daddy-o. You know, because it's cool, right? Yeah, like a cat, right? And then pit mom didn't like pit mom, so pit mom became pit boss.
Okay,
I like that better.
Fine.
Yeah. So that was their new, but they did that, and they all took their jobs very seriously. Two of their other vintage racing buddies left their cars at home, drove their giant Greg-sized RV, and that was the meeting and socializing RV, while my RV was the you're sleeping because you're driving RV.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And they separated that one and had it parked out in the back. And it was the Anderson brothers. They both raced vintage Datsun Roadsters, and they had never pit crewed before, ever. And they took all of the inputs, and I told them about, look, guys, speed will come after you get the muscle movements down. And we had every intention of practicing a pit stop, and just stuff kept coming up, and we never did. So their first pit stop was in the race. They moved very slowly, very deliberately, and over the course of 25 hours made 0 mistakes. Every fueling pit stop. Yes, every fueling pit stop, including the ones where 2 jugs, we had to put 2 jugs in there. Every one of them took less than 3 minutes.
That's fantastic.
We had one where we did a tire swap, and the tire swaps you have to do behind pit wall. That entire driver change, tires, and fuel took less than 10 minutes.
Can you change drivers while fueling, or do you have to wait till fueling is complete? You can. Okay, that takes a lot of time out of it.
It does. You can't touch it with can't touch the car with a power tool, and the wheels, and you're only allowed to change 1 tire in the ground. But basically the only thing you are allowed to do is change the driver. You can't touch cameras. You can't touch batteries. You can't clean the windshield until the gas cap goes back on. Then you can pop the hood and fiddle with stuff.
Okay.
And
very cool.
The team Commodore, he's one of those guys that reads the rules and understands them. Chris, and he actually briefed us all. He read the rules, he digested them, and he presented them to us. He's like, look, this is how it is. And we actually didn't have any rule violations because he made sure we all understood it.
Or at least nobody was paying attention.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, so tell us about the car.
It was a 200 and something thousand mile, almost 300,000 mile commuter E46 that a lady bought new in Chicago, and she had to drive 100 miles to work every day. And the
like
servicing,
my wife.
Yes, very much. And the servicing shop is an old friend of the team's that actually introduced everybody to the team, who owns a BMW shop, and she got rid of the car, and it was virtually worthless. It had 2 rust spots. As Sam Smith said, you California people would have saw it and crushed it. 2 very minor rust spots, and he pulled it off to the side, said it's a good car, it's a good engine, it'll come in handy someday. And then when they planted this idea of doing the 25 Hours of Thunderhill, he went through the shopping list of spec E46 parts and said, buy these things. And they did. And then he flew out to San Diego and helped install them. They're all really good welders. You would love how they weld, Chris. So they got a really good roll cage welded in there. And took the thing on there, did a manual transmission swap. But other than that, they did the crank bearings. That was the only engine work they did on it. And then it's still running. The engine lasted the whole race. And actually, when they dyno it, it's a power to weight classification for the 25 Hours of Thunderhill. Made too much horsepower to be a spec E46 car.
Cool.
Even though it was stock.
Add some weight.
Yeah.
It's the easy way. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's real good. So, and this was NASA. I mean, is there any differences? I mean, obviously, we give us the short rundown of the differences between a NASA, any difference in flags, drivers,
the amateur endurance series. Because you've run most of the amateur endurance series, Mental.
Mm-hmm.
What is like that, Jeff? That just leads into another thing. What does it take for a team to go from a successful amateur endurance race team to the level like this of 25 Hours of Thunderhill with NASA?
As far as car prep and driving capability,
everything.
and well, yeah, we're going to get some pushback on this, but I'll tell you, all your top tier Lemons teams, absolutely, they could all go tomorrow. You know, the rule. Now you're going to need to sit down. You're going to need to study the rules, and you're going to need to recognize the nuances of fueling. But actually, and I'd say Lemons, just the top champ teams, the top WRL and A. And I've run with the guys that run this in AAR, so there's already teams that do this. But
so what are the differences? Like, what are the kind of things you need to know?
The everything is a time penalty, and they give you the option of serving it immediately, or you can serve it at like they add it on to the end of your race. So at the end of your time, they'll subtract, hey, you did this, you did that. There is no, hey, we're going to sit down and talk to you and turn off the red mist. At this point, they presume you are beyond the red misty kind of nonsense and everything. So if you make an error in your pit stop, if you violate one of those rules, and you can tell where their emphasis of safety is. If there's someone that is under a car in the hot pits or in the paddock without a jack stand underneath it, that's a 30-minute penalty. No discussion.
Get out. Is there some, and who's policing that?
They have NASA folks all over it. They're walking around in the vest.
Yeah. So
there's
what
a
you're
little
saying,
bit more fuel spillage that is tolerated in the amateur series, and you still have to have the catch pans, but it is worded as flagrant misuse of fueling. Like you're in so much of a rush that you spill a lot, even if it all lands in your catch can, 5 minutes.
I definitely would have got a 5-minute filling us up at the last Lemons race.
Yeah.
But you're saying
You
that
kept it all in the car, though. So
I did keep it all in the car, except for the part that went in my face. But you're saying that you don't, so you get a penalty for whether it's on track or off track. I assume there's on track penalties too. They don't call you in and make you serve it immediately. They just kind of add it all up.
You have the option. We made a. It really wasn't an error. It was a minor error, and they said, "You guys owe us a minute." It was a 1 minute penalty, and they said, you can do it now, or you can call your guy in. Well, we called our guy in, but the guy who was supposed to hold him in the penalty area didn't know it and waved him on through. And our Commodore went and talked to the NASA officials and said, "Look, here's what the rule is, and this is what really happened. And by the way, your guy just cost me a drive-through penalty." And they went, "Yeah, you're fine."
Yeah, stop and go minute. What's the difference?
So if
60 seconds, but
right, if you can come to them, well, it was supposed to be drive-through stop for 1 minute, and then they let you. But if you can come to them with a reasoned argument, and you've got the rule book in your hand, and you can point to where you're right, and you're not being a d-bag about it, they'll capitulate. So it pays to know the rules. And Bruce was our rule guy, and man, he knew the rules. So we saved that one. That was a good one. That was really our only incident.
And then obviously on track, what's a penalty? What isn't a penalty? Is it 2 off, 4 off?
No,
contact?
2 off, 4 off. They don't care. Contact. Yes, contact is a penalty. Contact, depending on how severe, what happened. That one, you actually have to fill out paperwork, and then it goes and gets adjudicated during the race. And we got hit pretty hard by a 370Z in the back, and actually their tow hook punctured a hole in our bumper. But it was in a straightaway, so we just kept going, and they went around us, and I think they got tapped a little. They got fussed at and had a penalty that they had to serve.
So somebody adjudicates it and decides who's wrong, and they get the penalty.
Right.
Kind of like yacht racing.
Extremely, yes, very much like yacht racing.
When you yell starboard out the window of the car during the race, nothing happens. Right.
Nobody ducks, and you said jibe.
So Bruce,
so
the
weird.
Commodore, was a yacht guy, and he kept trying to get us. We're like, it's on the driver's side of the car, and he would go, "That's the port." And we're like, we're not going nautical. I'm Air Force. Forget it. He kept trying to get us to go nautical, and we wouldn't do it. But that was one of the things on there. And so, because they're not training new drivers, there especially the level of financial commitment to do this race. It felt like there was a lot less goofballs. And I've been to NASA regular sprint races, and the quotient of idiots or incompetent drivers who have racing licenses is actually, in some cases, a little bit higher amateur racing, amateur endurance racing. But no, there were some untalented drivers, but no real aggressive clowns that were, trying to show off for the Formula One scouts.
So you have to
That's
have
good
your
to know.
NASA comp license to do this.
You
Including-
absolutely
including
have
their
your-
medical and all that stuff. And yeah.
Yes, I had to get my EKG and all that other nonsense. Yeah. Actually, yeah, the physical was a little more involved than my flight physical.
2 fingers?
It's only one. They just wiggle it.
Well,
okay.
at my age, to get any tension, really, it's it's a 2 or 3 fingers.
Oh my gosh! Save us. Somebody ask a question. Oh, I'll answer a question. So I saw on one of the Insta whatevers that you were saying that the speed differential was a little crazy because they had like LMP, AMS cars or whatever in your E46. What was the speed differential like?
Greater than anything you have ever experienced. We are comfortably into the triple digits on the back straightaway, going through turns 6, 7, and 8 on there, and we get passed by one of those LMP cars that comes up to the door handles on a BMW E36, and it sounds like the hammer of Thor. And every time they shift gears, it's like a stack of metal plates just being dropped from 5 feet. It's just broad crack, but you never get to hear the second shift because they're just gone by then. And they've got active aero, and their ability to take turns just blows your mind. So there were the LMP cars. There were radicals of every different flavor, from the 4-cylinder all the way up to the high power ones. Open cockpit cars. There were 2 stock cars, not full up the Cup series, but the one below that with new Camaro bodies on them and more tire on one tire than the Honda has on all 4 tires. And they had 4 of those things, and those things come screaming around you, and they can't turn, but they're loud as hell and they're fast. There was
so they're NASCARs, is what you're saying.
The one below them, yes. And
no, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
They go real
There
fast,
was,
a straight line, but they can't turn.
Is it the 818 it's built on a Subaru WRX? It's
yeah, Factory 5.
There was
Factory 5, yeah.
one of those, and then there were these 2 of these. One of them didn't finish the race, but they looked like Porsche 356 Cabros, not speedsters, but 356 cabriolets. But they were clearly a body kit, and they were called Funduros or something. And it was interesting seeing those things. But yeah, and then every stock body class of car that NASA runs as well.
So there was like Spec Miatas?
Oh yeah, a ton of them.
Spec E30s?
There was one.
One Spec E30, yeah.
And these people are all running R compound tires for the most part.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Those kind of tires
Hoosiers,
for 25
Toyos, etc.
hours.
That's a lot of
means
tires.
Hella
Yes.
tires.
Toyo was the principal sponsor of this event, and we were running Toyos, which was nice because we were running Toyos. They fed us. Toyo fed us all weekend. But
and you fed their kids.
Yeah,
it's true.
Made their boat payments.
But the
boat.
Hankook,
Absolutely.
the Hankook lobby was out in force, and I now have a windshield banner for the RV that says Hankook Tires, and along with a couple of stickers. And he was wearing all the swag, and I did say, "Hey, by the way, hashtag you should totally sponsor me." And he's like, "Who are you? I don't listen to podcasts. Leave me alone." But it was they were walking through there. So there were some couple of different. There were a handful of Hoosier holdouts, but I think most everybody was running the Toyo R specs.
Cool. So did you run the Toyos all weekend, or did you end up on something else? How did it all go?
Yeah, why don't you tell us about your tire
Like
problems?
how many tires did you go through? Like what was the problems you were having?
We brought 6 set of Toyo R compounds and 1 set of Reigns, finger quote Reigns, and really they weren't full on Reigns; they were intermediate rain tires. And as soon as it started raining, we put those on there. And the track dried out on the dry line, but not throughout the rest of the track. So you just had the one dry line, and it stayed that way because it was sort of misting, and the cars were burning it off the line, but not anywhere else. And it was a bad call because one of our hot shoes was in the car, and we ended up melting our intermediate tires, and they became useless. So we went back. The track started to dry out. We went back to the R compounds and adjusted accordingly. And I was driving through the night, and I was consistently lobbing about 2 to 5 seconds off the lap, and I dried. And I came through. It's a high-speed complex in the back of it. Turn 6, 7, and 8. 6 is a decently spaced late apex, 90-degree corner that leads onto the back straightaway. 7 is a flat-footed, slight left. And then 8 is, depending on how fast you can go, and you can flat-foot it because the suspension compresses as you're going up a hill. As I came out of 6, the rear end stepped out a little bit, and that's when I noticed just the slightest bit of sprinkles on the windshield. By 7, I activated the wipers, backed off the throttle a little as I took turn 8, and the entire car, all 4 wheels said, nope. And I went straight off at about 90, right up a grass hill, straightened the wheels out, before they dug in, drove it back onto the track, limped it around, and brought it back into the pits where I busted the radiator. While they were swapping the radiator, Sam was basically saying, look, if we don't come up with a rain solution, we're just going to be doing this again in 20 minutes. The team next to us, Technique Automotive, this was their 14th NASA 25, and they were running races. It is. They were running.
They only run it once a year, so.
Yeah, and they brought an army of help and experience. We'll talk about their preparation, and they're phenomenal guys. They do a great job in the technique. They have a podcast as well and they'll also have a film on YouTube. They do it every year called Chasing Glory, and this year is going to be a good one because they won their class. But they had a set of our favorites, hashtag they should totally sponsor us, Hankook RS4 Venturas, baby, that they had used with full tread for their rain tire, and they didn't shave them. And when it dried out, they wore them down to about a shaved level, and we managed to negotiate them giving those to us, and we had them mounted, oddly enough, by Toyo. Toyo mounted those for us on our rims, and they were so good we finished out the race on them even after it dried.
RS4s.
They just work.
Put them on your car.
They just work. Yeah, and I'm not dogging. Those Toyo slicks were fantastic when it was dry, but when it goes wonky, or if you need a 190 tread wear, there is no other answer.
Awesome.
Cool.
I was going to say, does anyone have anything else for mental about this? Because I do want to do some general questions about racing around the clock.
Yeah. Any lessons you learned from your time, quote, real racing, end quote, TM?
TM is in the show notes, folks. He actually put trademark in the show notes. It's awesome.
That would benefit us. Like, for example, when Chrissy and I watched Daytona over the winter a couple of years ago, we noticed that the guys would get out of the car, and right in the door is where they had their drink bladder, and the driver would take it out. The new driver would come. He'd put his own drink bladder right in that spot and get right in. So we said, well, that's a great idea, because we used to hang ours off like the roll bar in the back, and something. So that we said, no way. And that's when we cut the windshield washer bottle and zip tied that to the spot in the roll cage where it's bent out, and now it works great, and we love it. So there's an example we learned from real racing. Is there anything you picked up that we should consider doing?
And we sort of do it to this thing, but it was not a dictated habit, but choreographing your pit stops. Everyone knows not just what they're doing, but where they're standing and what they're doing, because especially as it gets dark, or Champ runs a lot of 14-hour events. And so you'll be racing in the dark, and if someone's standing just slightly off and you're wearing a helmet, now you've bumped into each other and you've got a Three Stooges moment that just cost you 10 seconds on your pit stop. And the team next to us, they were quite serious about this, and they choreographed everything, not just the drink, but you always had your drink. They had their drink bladder in their left hand. They had their seat cushions in the right hand because their seat did not adjust. Our team went with the sliding seat adjusters. Any guess to what, completely unprompted by us, what seat sliders they used?
Jeep TJ.
Bingo. See,
Hell yeah.
Choreograph your pit stops and talk that through in the pits when there's no pressure, so that everyone knows where they're standing. Recognize that it might change or it might have to evolve, but you need to have that point of departure when you're doing that. And that was great. Now, your follow-on question, for a successful amateur team to do this, you need support personnel, folks that are not driving, at a ratio of about 3-1. It was hard for me to turn this off, but the other guys really got it. As a driver, you have one job: drive the car. Something would go wrong. I'd get under the hood physically swat at me. Stop out. Don't touch the tires. Don't do anything. Even when I wasn't near one of my shifts. That wasn't my job. The guys that were working on the car had their own rotation. They had their own rhythm. They had their own thought process. They knew how each other thought. And while I was trying to be helpful, every time I inserted myself into that, I was screwing up their process. So everyone had these very defined roles. And it was just hard for me coming off of our background to not, but that's what I had to do is I had to sit in the car and make goofy internet videos because I wasn't allowed to touch anything. Jeff.
Can we get this rule where you don't touch our stuff because you screw up our process?
How's the Z coming along, Jeff?
Shut up. It's sleeping. It's sleeping in the RV.
Sleeping.
It's sleeping.
Mount one set of flat spotted tires and you never live it down.
Corded tires.
I'm sorry, corded tires.
Sleep with one goat.
Exactly.
Oh, we lost Chris.
No.
Wait, did we break Chris? Because Chris is never broken. Oh, all right.
That's about as close as I get, though. That's just Sasha saying you have one goat.
I changed it a little. I tried to clean it up a little. So yeah, I was gonna ask for like 3 tips from both Mental and Chris about racing round the clock. Kind of already gave one there, Mental. So why don't we do Chris 1, then Mental 1, then Chris 1, then Mental 1, and finish it out. Chris, you got any tips for racing around the clock?
That's what I was going to say is you've got to have people who are not driving who are doing all the other stuff. Like you need a dedicated cook. You need a dedicated mechanic. You need a dedicated just crew chief, just what's going on, always on the radio. You've got to have support people to do a 24. But I guess I have to do something new. So I will say you need to have a plan for rest. It can't just be, well, when I feel like it or when I'm ready. No, you have to have a plan for it, and people actually have to do it.
Good call. Mental, you got another tip?
And that was actually mine is, make people go to that. Just you having those clearly defined roles and a handoff plan, because, your fuelers, or rather your mechanics, are going to be changing over. Because if you got a mechanic who's exhausted at 3 a.m., he's going to make a dumb mistake. So those people have to have a clearly, whatever their language is, however they want to do it, Post-it notes, a verbal handoff, whatever it is. But when your overnight shift mechanic gets up, hey, what's going on? This happened. The wheel's out of balance because it's full of mud or this sort of thing, and it caused this problem. So they know if the car comes back in, where to start looking for the problem, and they don't have to duplicate your work.
And maybe probably taking it in actual physical notes, because you won't remember what he said to you 6 hours ago. But if you wrote down, our fuel burn is this, and we did this many gallons at this hour, that's probably a lot easier to hand off.
Whiteboards are great for that too, and you got multiple people there. Each section has got a whiteboard, and you can write it all down so everyone can share info clearly and easily.
Yeah.
Nice. Chrissy, any thoughts or questions for the gentlemen on the podcast who have actually raced around the clock?
Would you do it again?
Oh.
Tomorrow. It was.
Duh. that was a silly question, but
well, no, like Chris, and this is it's a real question, because Chris has said, and I finished that race with the same exhausted sense of satisfaction that I finished the marathon. I love it. Yeah. But I'm a weirdo. I would say if it's something that interests you, do a 24. If it's something where you think, man, this would suck. Yeah. Don't do it, because it's probably going to suck for you.
Oh, I'm so interested.
So
now, Chris, tell me why I'm not.
Right.
If it goes poorly, it goes so poorly. And you can't fix it, and you're just done. And that's it. There's your race. And not only that, now there's no fun time on Saturday night. There's nothing else going on. You are just the poor fool with the broken-ass car, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning,
night.
And you're done. And so I was very fortunate in that I had a good experience. Like Craigers had built a good car. It was reliable, except for one thing that we fixed without too much trouble. We had a guy cooking all the time. We had a crew chief. Like, we had a pretty decent setup. And it was like, yeah, okay. That's good. Check the box. I'm glad we don't do it all the time. I'll probably do another one someday, but I'm not like, man, I wish they were all 24. That would be so great. No way.
I don't. Think
I don't wish they were all 24. No.
Yeah.
Uh,
I am wanting to do one so badly. Doesn't look like it's in the cards this year because the weekend of the True 24 on the east side of the Mississippi is when I'm at work. So,
I mean, I'll do another one. I'm just not like, I'm just not jumping to go. Like, I enjoy the race weekends that are spread out. Right, like it's nice having that because that's half the fun of race weekends is spending time with all these fools that are my friends 4 weekends a year, and you miss out on that with the 24. You only get Friday, and that's it.
It's not fun if Donnie doesn't down some bath salts and grab your package.
Right. Exactly.
Also, but there's like party and then
there's
sleep
no stunt
and
and
then
explode
like
and there's like no Knox Vegas isn't riding their picnic table around as much, like.
So it's kind of like an AER event.
No, it's still lemons, but
or like a NASA.
I've had lots of fun at AER in the paddock.
It's still more fun than AER, but it's just tame. So I'll give one more piece of advice. If you're at the race, even if you're not supposed to be driving at this time, make sure you get up in the middle of the night at some point just to take in the sights because it's pretty cool being up at like at 11 or at 5 a.m. and it's still a race going on. Everything's going on. Seeing what people have for lights, is seeing where things are. It's just kind of a slightly surreal spectacle if you're not used to it because you were so used to it being in the day. It's just different at night. It's a fun atmosphere. Give it a shot.
That's a great point. Like, walking to the bathroom. And it is disappointing if you're the one doing the 24 and your car comes in on the hook and you just kind of look at each other and go, that's it. We're done. And you realize you're a spectator. But if you're not that team and you go walking through the paddock and especially you see like the Audi R8, this is a $500,000 race car. It was done. It's over there, packed up. They've got a team of technicians. They've got a giant semi-race transporter and a tent bigger than my first house that they're doing everything. And it's sitting on jack stands. And I'm looking over at, there's our little humble E46 still turning laps. And that is an immense sense of satisfaction.
And you guys did 3 radiators, right? You blew 2, put in 2.
We did. Yeah, we did. They were the third radiator went in the car. I said we blew them as much as we destroyed them.
Yeah. What hours did you have to go get that second radiator? Because it was pretty late, right?
It was. I got it ordered online. The local O'Reilly's closed at 8, or it closed at, it was 8 o'clock. But there was one 10 miles down the road that closed at 9, and I got it ordered and pulled, but then we had some issues with the O'Reilly's wanted us to verify because they're like, you don't live in California. Why are you buying a radiator? So, but they had the radiator waiting on them when they got there. And this guy walked in 5 minutes before O'Reilly's closed and they're like, oh, here you go. Good, sir. So yeah, that was the second one.
All right. I guess it's a time shift. I thought it was like, I must have done the math wrong because I saw you post it. I was like, man, it's like midnight. He must not be.
It's 4 hours ahead of you.
Yeah.
3, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I was literally as far away from you as I could get and still stay in the same country.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm ready to do it. Chrissy, are you in or you out?
I'm in. I don't have an answer though. It was my suggestion for question.
And that reminds me, I've got a little bit of a beef with you because I'm on the track trying to learn Thunderhill. I had every intention of doing the whiteboard and watching all the videos, and everything happened. And then by the time I got there, I was having to help fix, put the car together in the paddock. And then we got there, and I never did get a chance to look at a track map. So I learned Thunderhill from behind the wheel of the car. There are 2.
Oh no!
There are 2 off-camber right-handers over the hill where you're leaning to the left and you're turning to the right. And like every one of those corners, I kept wanting to turn early. And I'm coming over there and I'm turning early and I'm screwing up. So by the third lap, I'm having to come over there and I'm saying to myself, later would be better, except I'm trying to remember it. So I'm not saying it.
Yes.
I'm singing it.
How?
So
Sing it for me.
Every time I'm going through these corners, for like my 4 driving shifts. I go over the hill. I go, later would be better.
That's awesome.
That's
Excellent.
almost the same tune as modulating the brakes.
Modulating the gas.
the
It's
brakes.
modulating the gas.
That's
Thank
modulating
you.
It's modulating the gas.
Modulating the gas. Modulating the gas.
And I told somebody about that, and they chuckled about it. And I said, also, she does this like when she's walking through the paddock, and she goes, "Don't look at welding." And
That's true.
I'm going to be at this very university, and if anybody's welding in there, I will bet you a dinner that somebody in the back of their head's going to go, "Don't look at welding."
Ding.
Yes, don't look at welding. I thought you. Okay. The Oakenfold Ready Go is my wait song. That's what you needed before you turn in. When you turn in late, that's my song. Damn.
Patience Corner song. Yes.
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 All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for telling us all about your experience. It's fantastic and sounds like fun. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
You guys
it's one
would
of
fit
those-
in.
I'm so jealous.
This team is the evolution of this group of people in 20 years. This is how, I could see them like us 20 years ago. Great bunch of guys. They're all really, really tight. It's a good bunch of folks. That is also, that's my last thing. If you're going to do this, you better do it with like-minded people. The team next to us was very competitive, but the entire team was very competitive. I felt like we were having more fun, but like there was a saying on the back of one of the trailers that says it's only fun if you're winning. That's not my kind of team.
We would not have had fun yet.
Right, but I'm glad
For
that
very
that's
brief
their
moments.
jam.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. So if you're going to do it, find people that think like you do. Otherwise, it's miserable.
Wow. All right.
All
Racing
right.
Round the clock. Let's move on unless there's anything else from the people on the podcast. Looking around. Nope, it's on the spot time.
Yeah.
Chris.
And Mental left, so I don't know if you can even hear the on the spot. We did our holiday gift giving episode and gift guide, what all kinds of cool gifts there are. It's coming up on Christmas now. This is about the last chance you're going to get to shop for something weird, unless it's whatever Amazon Prime has left on Christmas, like the 20th. So, on the spot, what's something you want for Christmas? Jeff.
Fire hose pants.
Okay.
To sustain
No.
the badger attacks.
I've decided. Jason on the Facebooks told me that they are the bomb, so now I must have a pair.
Okay. Fire hose pants for Jeff. Chrissy.
Oh, I have been thinking about this the whole show, and I still can't figure out what I want. My one idea was what I was as a
Opening
thought,
my Amazon cart now.
but I don't actually. If I get it, if you give it to me, like Chris's are going to be pissed, which is like batteries, like last year. So,
As a thoughtful gift.
right,
No batteries.
no batteries.
I forgot about the batteries, Kent.
Oh, the batteries will never die.
Warning. Do not buy your significant other's batteries for Christmas. It will not be appreciated.
Will not. As much as you think it's appreciated, it's not. Saw to do the fish mouths.
Oh, a new hole saw.
A new
Hole
tubing
saw.
notcher.
Tubing notcher, yeah.
Yep. But if you get it for me, I'll be pissed. But it's a nice idea.
Mental, you
Mental.
do yours next,
Yep.
and then I have something to say.
Like Chris didn't go too.
Oh yeah, Chris is gonna go.
All year, I've been wanting a lighter driving suit, like the ones Chris and Chrissy have. One of these
Oh,
ultra
yeah.
lightweights, and I even found one that almost fit on Race Image. It was it wasn't a branded one; it was a generic one that someone had sold. But when it's cold and rainy, I love my quilt.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I love my
Oh.
Oakley X underwear. That thank you, Darren, for laying us all of that on Woot. But the team next to us, again, the Super Series team, they had a portable lift, very much like the ones you guys have, the jacks, but it was a fixed one.
Quick, Jack.
so you didn't have to space it out, and it was transportable to the track and gave them the ability to do NASCAR style pit stops, and it was impressive. But it would also be right at home in my garage where I have a low ceiling lift.
Was it like two stands with forks?
No, it was exactly like their Quick Jacks, but there was a metal
connector between them.
It was just and it was a one-piece unit. So I mentioned how that would be perfect in my garage, and everyone on the teams, because they're all racers, they went, "Oh no, there's a 2-post reel lift for less than that." So that's what I want. I want a Max Jack 2-post lift. That's what I want.
I didn't know we could ask for really expensive things.
No,
reasonable things.
These are comparatively priced with Quick Jacks that aren't on sale.
I think my fire hose pants are $50.
Right. I think I should have asked for
about 25.
I should have asked for a Miata. Can I have a Miata?
E63.
Chris,
no.
What do you want for Christmas?
I want something to make the Suburban suck a little less to drive every day.
Oh,
smaller tires.
No such thing exists.
That Apple Play stereo that you suggested last week.
That's one. Or a new driver's seat cushion, because the 180,000 mile one in the car has a bit of a slant to the left and
a hole in the middle.
And a hole in the middle. So a new cushion, like the actual cushion and cover and armrest, because the armrest is kind of torn up and on long toes, it bothers my arm. So like that kind of stuff. Yeah, Jeff.
I just want to go ahead. I just want to say that every time I sit in your Suburban and have to drive it anywhere, which is always like to the parts store to get whatever the frick broke, your lumbar support punches me in the ribs so hard.
Then you undo it.
Then turn it off.
It's your seat. I'm not
adjusting. Put it back on. It's one button. It's really easy.
So if you put a new pad on yours, you would hate it because you don't have someone punching you in the ribs.
Bottom cushion. The bottom cushion.
Oh,
not
the butt
back.
cushion.
Yeah.
Oh,
because that has a whole list to the left from whoever the previous owner was getting in and out of it.
The fat
over
ass before you. I understand.
Right. Yeah. So something that makes it suck a little less for regular driving. That's
mental. What were you gonna say?
So I can go to the junkyard, get a Suburban seat, and there is any number of I don't want to say cheap. Quality bargain priced upholstery shops here in the greater Las Vegas metro. They advertise on everything. It shows up in all my.
The sun destroys every piece of fabric.
And there is a craftsman mentality among some of the. I'm trying not to be racist about here, but
I was going to say, let's be honest, it's the Mexicans.
Well, because they have a culture of working and they have a culture of saving things. So rather than get rid of their car, they just fix seats. And there's a whole ton of really good upholstery shops that'll do it here, and actually even a couple of Asian-owned ones and they'll do a great job for not that much money. So
the nice thing about having a Suburban is that every part available in the whole world is available for a 10-year-old Chevy truck. So
exactly,
it's available. GM still sells the stuff, even it's all there.
Yeah,
Chrissy.
So we just got to find a way to get it to Pennsylvania.
Yes, I know how to make your Suburban suck less. Get a Miata.
I feel like Chrissy has joined the Church of Miata.
It's Bill's fault. It's totally Bill's fault.
No, it was long before that. I definitely said.
Well, I know you wanted one, but then once you drove them, then I got out of the car and said, "Thanks, Bill. That just cost me a Miata."
But I said that I like the 19, and I'm not going to get a 19. So, but that's how you make your
Why not?
Your Suburban
get the Jag. Get an ND.
No, then I don't have a wagon.
Yeah, she doesn't have a
dumb.
Yeah.
No, then I don't have a wagon. No. All right, for another conversation, maybe next week we should talk about cars.
You ever see a?
I love that.
Do we
that
ever
should be like a bumper
cars?
sticker.
No.
How do you make your Suburban suck less? Get a Miata.
Yep, done.
Well, if anybody knows of an NC out there with a blown motor, let us know.
With a blown motor. Okay.
Yeah.
Something tells me my Facebook Marketplace, because Facebook is listening to all my words, is going to start sending those.
Terrifying.
GM V6 swap. That would be the way to go.
2.5 out of a Fusion, just like the 3 has.
Hell yeah!
Really? You're not going to go with a Honda K swap?
Because that 2.5 is they're like $300 and they bolt in.
Christmas is
Okay.
coming.
You're not getting a Miata for Christmas.
We know
honey.
what Chrissy wants. Well, if we're doing big ticket items, I want a new gaming computer to run iRacing.
Oh, because you're feeling left
yes.
out.
I'm
Oh.
Folks, yeah, that's going to be the pin Chris down and get his take on all the iRacing equipment episodes coming up soon. So we're working on that one.
Yep.
I will have to have somebody on. Anyway,
Someone on.
I was going to say like 4 or 5 people who have been iRacing for much longer who can also talk about it. But anyway, let's get to the closing credits. Thanks for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. I'm talking fast because the music is going to run out. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hate us, give us a 5 stars and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the convertible Miata side up. Unless they don't have a Miata, then just keep the wheels down.